everybody wears those things in their ears as a status symbol now. So just take those in your ears. Right? They look alien.
My mother
And
used
you
to
know, nut friends, I don't
more
know.
than, yeah, really. It's like, it's like a vitamin deficiency.
That they just.
Are we? And I have to tell you,
What's coming out of my head tonight?
Okay, if we can take our seats, I believe we're ready to start. Henry, are we ready? Okay, yes, go. All right. Good evening, everyone. The September 10th meeting of Branford RTM is called to order at 8:01 p.m. Let us rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Toohill, would you call the roll?
Abigail Adams, Representative Adams. Representative Edelman.
here,
Representative Amore.
Here.
Representative Anderson.
Here.
Representative Bastille.
Here.
Representative Black.
here,
Representative Bonenberger.
here,
Representative Brooks.
Present.
Representative Dayhill.
Here.
Representative Everson.
Here.
Representative Hartwell. Absent. Representative Henschel.
here,
Representative Hines.
here,
Representative Ingraham.
here,
Representative Keefe. Absent. Representative Larson.
present,
Representative Lafredo.
Here.
Representative Maresca.
Here.
Representative McCall. Absent. Representative McCormack.
Here.
Representative Nupani. Representative Papalizio.
here,
Representative Sharkey. Absent. Representative Shrestha.
here,
Representative Sumro. Absent. Representative Toohill. Here. Representative Verderam.
Here.
Representative Waterman. Absent. And ex officios present with us tonight, I see our town clerk, Lisa Arpin. So you have a quorum, Madam Moderator.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Toohill.
You're welcome.
Okay, item number 3 is minutes, and we have a number of minute-oriented matters to take up. First is a call for approval of the minutes of the June 11th meeting and then the July 9th meeting. They were not approved because at the June 11th minutes were not approved at July 9th because it was a special, so we are going to have to approve both of them tonight. And then there is an issue of correction to be made to the May 13th meeting. Let's take up the minutes for June 11th and June 9th first. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 11th meeting of the RTM?
so moved.
Second, please. Second, Nancy McCormick.
McCormick.
Okay. Okay, we have a second. All in favor of approval of the minutes as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? No? Yeah, the minutes are approved as submitted. Do I have a motion to approve the July 9th minutes?
July 15th.
July 15th. That was the special meeting, okay. On the July 15th meeting, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll approve. Make a motion.
Second? Okay, Gino.
Why does it say
and-
July
Point of
9th?
information, Madam Moderator, on our agenda, it's saying July 9th.
Yeah, that's a mistake. That was a typo for me.
Okay, just to,
Yeah, thank you. Would you note that it's a typo?
Yes.
The July 9th would have been our regularly scheduled meeting, which we moved. Okay. Do we have a vote? All in favor of approving those minutes? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. I am going to turn over the matter. I received an email from the town clerk. Attached, please see the highlighted portion of the May 13th minutes, item number 5E, corrected by the clerk for a mathematical error. So, Mr. Toohill, can you take us through that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so there was a change on item 5E, and the change was that it states on the original minutes as submitted, $141,698,673. It should be, let me see. Well, to be honest, to be honest, on the call, the thing it said was 142,698,673, and it should have read, and it's corrected on the minutes now of May 13th to be 141,698,673. And we also added the language at the end of that paragraph, 5E, on the corrected May 13th minutes, which you all have received copies of. And we added the language at the end. It says it states at the end, this is the language that's added, reducing contingency by $500,000 for a net total budget of $141,198,673. Those were the two changes.
Okay. Those changes are now on the record. I don't know if we need a vote on those. Mr. Parliamentarian, do we need to? Okay. All right, so let us then vote to approve these amended minutes. Do we have a motion to approve? Second.
Who
Tracy?
seconded?
Both. We had two.
Okay.
Nancy first.
Okay.
McCormick first. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We have a second. All in favor of these amendments? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions?
Madam Moderator, I was not present at that meeting, so I'll abstain.
Okay. One abstention.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Ms. Moderator, point of order, the clerk should submit the revised minutes for posting. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that- Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. All right. Reception of communications, reports of committees and citizens' petitions. I've received a number of communications. I've received two that were addressed to me as well as, after the fact, to the R&O committee. These were both concerning the short-term rentals. They were received by R&O and dealt with in committee, so I won't read them here. I've received a piece of a letter from Rich Shanahan, Chair of the Parks and Open Space Authority. Good afternoon, Madam Moderator. The members of Parks and Open Space Authority have undertaken a review of the sections of the town charter that pertain to the operation and management of the authority. Attached is a list of the recommendations we would like to formally submit to the RTM for consideration and eventual adoption. I believe you will find these recommendations straightforward and self-explanatory, but do not hesitate to contact me for further clarification. I will simply read the introductory goal of this charter change, and it is to change the name of the Branford Parks and Open Space Authority to Branford Open Space Commission and to convert the authority to a commission. That will be referred to R&O.
Madam Moderator, point of order.
Yes.
Just one correction on your note that the communications to R&O, they were received after our last meeting, so they have been received, but I'll bring them up in the next Rules and Ordinance meeting next week.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought they came in earlier. Okay, thank you. Okay, and the last piece is from Margaret Liberta, the HR Director, regarding the tentative agreement by and between the Town of Branford and the AFSCME Branford Town Supervisors for the period July 1 to June 30th. This was received prior to the meeting by the Administrative Services Committee, so it was able to be referred ahead of time. It was heard in committee. They will report on it in the course of the meeting. Okay. Are there any other communications or items that should be read under this agenda item? If not, we'll move on. Okay. Number 5, to consider and if appropriate, approve the following transfer request from general government buildings for fiscal '25 for the following. From other supplies, $10,588, and meal supplies, $437, for a total of $11,025 to utilities, for the equivalent amount of $11,025. Okay, GGB, who's hearing that? That's Adrian?
Public Services.
Adrian?
Public Services says we did not hear this. I guess we'll have to 441 it.
Okay.
Or we should re-refer it to Public Services. I only heard Police Department and Fire Department.
Okay. All right. Would you like to suspend Rule 441 and take this up on the floor?
Frankly, $11,000, I'd rather hear it in committee next month, or we could do a special meeting about it.
Okay, so the item,
Frankly,
we need a motion to re-refer?
move to re-refer.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor of re-referring item 5 to Public Services, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, the item is re-referred. To consider and if appropriate, approve a transfer request from the assessor for fiscal '25 for the following. From regular wages and salaries in the amount of $32,060 to seasonal and part-time help for $29,945 and accumulated sick time for $2,115 for an equivalent amount of $32,060. Mr. Edelman.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This was heard by Admin Services on September 2nd of this year. Paula Jensen from the Assessor's Office was present. The larger portion of this transfer is necessary as a result that work is being done at the Assessor's Office for part-time help, and the money is a transfer from the line item for a full-time position, which is not being filled. So it's just a transfer from the full-time position to pay for the seasonal part-time help. The smaller transfer is necessary to cover a sick leave expense that was incurred per the union contract upon the retirement of an employee. This matter passed by a 7-0 vote unanimously, and I put this forth in the form of a motion.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a committee report and a passage. Are there any comments or questions about for the committee on this item? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor of approving this transfer, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item carries. Number 7, to consider and if appropriate, approve a budget transfer request from the assessor on behalf of the Board of Assessment Appeals for fiscal '25 for the following: seasonal and part-time help, $1,411 to overtime for the equivalent amount of $1,411. Mr. Edelman?
Thank you again, Madam Moderator. Again, Paula Jensen from the Assessor's Office was present. This is a simple transfer, so the Assessor's Office can hire an additional clerk that is necessary to assist the Board of Assessment Appeal as a result of efforts that need to be done for the reevaluation. The additional clerk, it should be noted, is an employee, and as such, she must be paid at overtime rates, so that was factored into the amount of the transfer. Again, on that 9/2/2025 meeting, this was passed unanimously by a 7-0 vote, and again, I would put this in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have the committee report. Are there any discussion, questions, or concerns about this transfer for the committee? Okay. Hearing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor of this transfer, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Hearing none, the item carries. Okay. Item 8, to consider and if appropriate, approve a budget transfer request from Police Services for fiscal '25 for the following: Regular wages and salaries, from what regular wages and salaries, $111,605. From other supplies, $15,470. From parts, $6,059. From other supplies, again, for $183. For parades and awards, $385, for a total of $133,702. 2, overtime, $100,344. Sick pay, $11,261. Other fuel, $9,117. Marine maintenance, $6,059. Other supplies, $183. Memberships and conferences, $385. And veterinary services, $6,353, for an equivalent amount of $133,702. Okay, Mr. Bonneberger.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Public Services met last week to hear this. Chief Mulhern gave us a briefing on it. The biggest ticket item over time was due to a homicide that occurred in town. So that required a number of people to work overtime on this particular issue. In addition to that, sick pay was related to people, a retirement, I believe. Marine maintenance, other fuel was related to the cost of fuel. Marine maintenance, their vehicle, the boat was damaged lightly and it had to be fixed, not surprisingly. Office supplies related to the move to the fire department. Memberships was related to there's an arrangement that we have with other towns to field a competent regional SWAT team. That's what he said the memberships were related to. And veterinary services was a dental procedure for the canine. That all added up to $133,000. The committee voted unanimously 5-0 to approve, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have the committee report. Are there any questions or concerns for the committee on this transfer? Okay, hearing none, we'll put this to a vote. All in favor of this transfer, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the item carries. Item 9, to consider and if appropriate, approve a budget transfer request from Fire Services for fiscal '25 from regular wages and salaries in the amount of $151,339 to accumulated sick pay, $44,998. Accrued payroll, $13,254. Stipend, $6,501. Uniform and clothing allowance, $996. Professional development, $2,577. Ambulance billing, $33,394. Employment testing, $8,316. Medical supplies, $7,540. Safety supplies, $1,254. Other supplies, $5,710. Furniture and fixtures, $3,073. Memberships and conferences, $1,526. Transfer to Fund 203, $22,200 for an equivalent amount of $151,339. Fire Services, Mr. Bonneberger, you're up again.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Public Services met last week, and we discussed this matter as well. Chief Mahoney was on hand to walk us through what these expenditures were. Accumulated sick pay, which is the first and biggest line item, almost $45,000, was contractually obligated to pay out for 2 retiring firefighters. Accrued payroll, he said, was the result of basically a budgeting oversight. So it's money that they needed to spend but didn't get allocated to the right column. So he's putting it in here now. Stipends were bonuses related to the certification of paramedics, which is something that is an ongoing process to make the fire department more capable. Uniform clothing allowance, professional development, employment testing, medical supplies, safety supplies, other supplies were all related to those new hires and the result of the ambulances being called out a lot. Ambulance billing, $33,000, that's what that is. We incur some cost for running the ambulances. We get a lot more of it back. He said ambulance billing so far this year is at $2.4 million, which is $560,000. And that's coming into the town's budget, $560,000 more than we thought we were going to get. And then finally, the transfer to Fund 203 for $22,000. Apparently there was a, let's see if I got this right in my phone. We got a $500,000 grant a couple years ago, and it had a 10% match. This is the last we owe on the 10% match for the $500,000 grant that we got for the fire department for training. The Public Services Committee voted 5-0 unanimously to approve this, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Thank you very much. All right, we have a committee report. Are there any questions or concerns for the committee on this transfer? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor of this transfer of $151,339, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the item carries.
Madam Moderator?
Yes.
I'm going to recuse myself for the next item.
Thank you very much. Will somebody,
I'll get them.
okay. Thanks.
I'll get them.
Remember to retrieve them.
We're going to let them stay out there.
Okay. To consider and if appropriate, approve a budget transfer request from the Registrar of Voters for fiscal '25 for the following. Here goes. Seasonal and part-time help from seasonal and part-time help, $4,162. Educational incentive, $3,000. Professional development, $1,350. Moving and storage, $950. Other purchase services, $356. Purchase services repairs, $1,995. Equipment rental, $1,999. Postage, $221. Advertising and printing, $1,329. Office supplies, $465. Memberships and conferences, $457. Contingency, $25,446, for a total of $41,730. 2, part-time clerical support, $3,573. Election workers, $8,426. Registrars, $297. Deputy registrars, straight time, $17,486. Overtime, $4,285. Other supplies, $1,017. Meal supplies, $5,556. Technology, $277. Furniture and fixtures, $464. Travel, $349, for an equivalent amount of $41,730. Mr. Edelman, it's yours.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This was heard by Admin Services on September 2nd of this year. Both registrars, Mr. Rowan and Mr. Lawler, were present. These monies need to be transferred to the lion's share of which is coming from contingency to cover expenses that were incurred as a result of the early voting and the primaries that we had. It's important to note that these monies were not budgeted for. So they're expenses that were never accounted for, and no monies were appropriated for it in the prior fiscal year budget. And this was heard, as I said, on September 2nd of this year, and was approved by a unanimous 7-0 vote. And I would ask to put this forth in the form of a motion, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we have the committee report. Are there any questions or concerns for the committee on this transfer? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of this transfer, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the item carries, and Mr. Black can re-enter. Okay. To consider and if appropriate, welcome back, Mr. Black. To consider and if appropriate, approve a budget transfer request from the tax collector for fiscal '25. From tax refunds, $12,185. To regular wages and salaries, $1,037. Overtime, $8,238. accrued payroll, $22, advertising and printing, $2,888, for an equivalent amount of $12,185. And Mr. Edelman, you've been a busy committee.
Thank you again, Madam Moderator. And again, it was on September 2nd of this year that this came before Admin Services. Mr. Imperato was out of town, but was kind enough to forward me a memo concerning the highlights of each of these line item requests. Quickly, the wages and salaries are necessary because the change in the tax collector's position from an elected to appointed created a difference that had to be reconciled between the 2024-2025 final printed book and the ADP calculations. There was a tax associate that had been out on FMLA twice, and payment log jams occurred due to bulk submissions arriving late, which created some problems posting the escrow payments. Thus, that's the lion's share of the overtime transfer request. With respect to advertising and printing, the transfer is necessary because the final posted rate books for calendar years 2020 and 2021 are statutorily required to be made available to the public at the town clerk's office. Again, as I said, September 2nd of this year, this went to Admin Services and was approved unanimously by a 7-0 vote. Thank you. And I put that forth in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a committee report. Are there any questions or concerns for the committee on this transfer? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving this transfer, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the item carries. To consider and, if appropriate, approve a budget transfer request from the Willoughby Wallace Memorial Library for fiscal '25 for the following. I believe we need to suspend Rule 441 to take this up on the floor. Is that right, Mr. Brooks?
That would be correct. The Education Committee did not meet on this. I spoke with the library director, so I have information should we decide to 441 it, or I can give the information now.
Let's do it right. All those in favor of suspending Rule 441 to discuss this item on the floor?
I have to make a motion.
I mean, I need a motion for that. I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of suspending Rule 441 for this item, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The rule is suspended. Mr. Josh, the floor is yours. Mr. Josh, Mr. Brooks.
So I spoke with the Willoughby Wallace Library Director, and she said the regular wages and salaries, there was a person that was out, so they backfilled that with other staff, and those are the two different line items. And the $27 was just a clerical mistake in the original budgeting process, so they threw that in there to make it an even transfer. So I put that in the form of a motion, but it has to be seconded because we're 441.
Okay. Do I have a second?
What did it mean?
Okay. We have a second?
He pointed at me.
All right, so we have a second for that as a report. Now we need a vote on the report, correct? Okay. All in favor of accepting this report, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No. Hearing none. The report stands. Now we have to vote on the transfer, correct? Yes. Okay, the transfer is $1,430, an equivalent amount to purchase services, library staff, purchase services, and repairs and maintenance of $1,430. That is the result of our discussions. All in favor? I need a motion to approve this transfer.
So moved.
Second? Mr. Bonneberger? Okay. All right. All in favor of this transfer, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item carries. To consider and if appropriate, number 13, consider and if appropriate, approve a budget transfer request from the town clerk for fiscal '25 from professional development, $918, to accumulated sick pay for $591, memberships and conferences, $327, for an equivalent amount of $918. This should have been heard by Admin Services.
It was, thank you, Madam Moderator, on 9/2/2025 again. This is just a small transfer out of professional development. The town clerk was unable to attend some continuing education Communication Services due to a scheduling conflict. Thus, the monies are being transferred to cover a shortfall in the budget amounted for retirees, estimated sick pay, and a one-day conference that was attended by the office. This was again on said date, approved by a 7-0 vote by Admin Services. I would put that forth in the form of a motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have the committee report. Are there any questions or concerns for the committee on this transfer? Don't confuse me. Okay. All right. We hearing none. We need a vote on this transfer. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the item carries. Item 14, to consider and if appropriate, approve a transfer request from the town clerk on behalf of the legislative budget for fiscal +25 as follows. Update law ordinances, $3,648. Office supplies, $100. Office purchase of services for the town clerk, $200. Purchase service repairs maybe, from the town clerk for $46 for a total amount of $3,994. To advertising and printing in the equivalent amount of $3,994. Okay, Mr. Edelman.
To the surprise of no one, this was also heard by Admin Services on September 2nd of this year. This transfer is necessary to cover the expense from 10 legal notices that were placed in fiscal year 2024. The shortfall was caused by the higher rates of the New Haven Register, and this was approved by a 7-0 unanimous vote, and I would put that forth in the form of a motion.
Okay, thank you very much. We have the committee's report. Any questions or concerns on this transfer for the committee? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor of approving this transfer, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The item carries. Okay. Item 15 is going to bring us some, a need for some voting. Yes, Mr. Brooks.
To either the present parliamentarian or the old parliamentarian, do they allow, not old in age.
Former. It both apply.
Can there be discussion before a vote is taken on 441ing any of these items?
I think that we need to 441 the item first before we have the discussion.
Before the vote is taken on the,
On 441ing it?
yes,
No, I think that we vote on the 441
with no
first,
discussion.
with no discussion, and then we have the discussion.
Madam Moderator, then can I make a motion to split item number 15? Boy, this is gonna hurt.
Just
Item number 15, up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do this.
Madam Moderator.
Mr. Brooks, hold on. The reason that this was to be heard to, this was referred to Ways and Means, all of item 15. Ways and Means tried to meet and through a Zoom link, which failed. So they couldn't meet. So the items were referred to committee but couldn't be heard in committee. Mr. Brooks is representing the Ways and Means Committee tonight, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that's where this is. Yes, Mr. Black.
Madam Moderator, it's just, Josh, just
Put the
put the motion,
Okay.
split it up as you would, move to whichever ones you want to suspend the rule on, and we'll vote on suspending the rule individually on each one. I understand you want to do that, so that's fine. Yeah.
So can I make a motion to suspend Rule 441 on item 15B, 15C, 15D,
15D?
Yeah.
D as in David, that's my middle name, and 15E for now.
Okay. So we will start with a request to suspend Rule 441 for the following 4 items. Item 15B, 15C, 15D, and 15E. So do we have a motion to suspend Rule 441 for those items?
I'll second it.
I'll move it.
We have,
Second.
yeah, that was a request, not a motion. Okay, so we have a motion and a
Second.
and a second. Okay. So all in favor of suspending Rule 441 to consider items 15B, C, D, E, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Your aye?
Your nay?
Your nay.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't confuse me.
There were several nays.
All right, can
I don't know,
we see hands for suspension?
Everything's taken care of.
That's fine.
All right.
Suppose.
This is to opposing rule, suspending Rule 441 only. Okay, we have 2 nays. You got 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got it. Thank
All
you.
right, so we have a vote. Rule 441 is suspended, and we can make a discussion on the floor. Mr. Brooks, take it away.
So I'm going to start with item number 15B. That is transferring $24 out of the audit account, $571 out of advertising, and printing into actuarial services. I see that word wrong.
Actuarial.
I apologize. And that's just a small, the information I'm giving you is information I got from Jim Finch. That's a small shortfall was attributed to a unique situation regarding a pension buyback. I put that in the form of motion that needs a second.
Okay, do we have a second?
I put approval of that in the form of a motion and it needs a second.
Okay, we need a second to approve that transfer.
Second.
Mr. Black. Okay, we have a second. All in favor of this transfer, say aye.
Aye.
Any, I didn't ask for I didn't request, let me ask for questions. Any questions or concerns before we go forward? No? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? No, the item carries. Okay. All right, number C.
Item 15C is just a transfer from property insurance of $20,000 into unemployment compensation of $20,000. Again, from Jim Finch, this is a transfer to cover anticipated shortfall in unemployment compensation that we reimburse the state to, and I asked for that approval, and I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve this transfer from item 15C. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second?
Papalizio.
Yeah. Ms. Papalizio.
Thank you.
All right, we have a second. Are there any questions or concerns before we move forward with the vote? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of this transfer, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the item carries. Okay, item 15D, Mr. Brooks.
So item 15D is a small transfer from membership conferences of with economic development, a small transfer of $1,045 from memberships and conferences to other purchase services for $1,045. And that is to cover a shortfall in expenses related to hiring the Branford High School carolers to perform during the Shop and Sip Stroll event, and that will change all of your tuning. That's what Jim Finch. I put that in a form of approval from in a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve this transfer in item 15D. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a lot of seconds. Edelman. Okay, all right, we have a second. Are there any questions or concerns for Mr. Brooks on this before we take a vote? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor of this transfer for the Economic Development Department, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the item carries. 15E, Mr. Brooks.
This is a small transfer from probate court with probate court from online services of 174 to property auto insurance of 174. I put that, I asked that that's approved, and I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion to approve this transfer for the probate court. Do we have a second?
Second.
Everson.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have a second. Are there any questions on this transfer? Comments? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor of this transfer for the probate court, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the item carries. Okay. Mr. Brooks, you need to address a couple of other items here.
So on 15A, we would have to waive Rule 441. It's a large amount of money. I'm not going to make that decision for this body, so I'll put that in the form of a motion, and people can vote how they wish. I have an explanation.
Okay.
So I put that in the form of a motion on Rule 441.
So your motion is to suspend Rule 441? Okay. We have a motion. Do I have a second to suspend Rule 441?
I'll second it.
Mr. Henschel seconds. Okay. Are there any questions or concerns before we have a vote on suspending Rule 441? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. Those in favor of suspending Rule 441 for item 15A, say, let's have a hand raise. All those in favor, say, raise your hand.
Provided that Representative Brooks has an explanation.
Okay, so let's do a count. Hold your hands up high so we can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it carries 11 to 10.
It would not carry.
No.
It would not carry.
It has to carry two-thirds.
Two-thirds vote.
Two-thirds, okay. So,
But you haven't had them show their hands yet.
okay, all those in favor, all those opposed to suspending Rule 441 for item 15A, raise your hands.
If we abstained, it would have won. So.
That's correct.
That's true. Okay, so the item does not carry, it appears.
Madam Moderator, I'll
Yes.
make the motion that we re-refer item A.
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a second, we have a motion to re-refer and a second. Any questions on this? Can we have a vote on re-referring item 15A to Ways and Means? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The matter is re-referred to Ways and Means.
Again, through you, Madam Moderator, 15F is another one of those situations where it's a large amount of money, $113,735. I will not make the decision for this body, so I will put waiving Rule 441 in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to suspend Rule 441 for item 15F. Do we have a second?
I'll second it for the sake of the vote.
Okay. All right, we have a second. Any questions on this motion to suspend Rule 441 in advance of a vote? Okay, let's have hands raised. All of those in favor of suspending Rule 441, raise your hand. We have 2 in favor. All those opposed to suspending Rule 441 and on this item, raise your hand.
Okay, we know where.
We know, all right.
We know where it's going.
Josh broke his rule.
Okay, so this will be, do I have a motion to?
Motion to re-refer
on now.
Sorry.
I'll second.
Back to Ways and Means.
I'll second that.
Okay, re-refer to Ways and, okay, we have a motion to re-refer to Ways and Means. Any questions, comments, concerns?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I think this is sound fiscal policy to review these high numbers in committee properly, so it makes sense to re-refer it.
Thank you. Okay, we have that comment on the record. So let's have a vote. All those in favor of re-referring item 15F to Ways and Means, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item 15F is re-referred to Ways and Means. Okay, item 16, to consider and if appropriate, approve a tentative agreement by and between the Town of Branford and AFSCME, Branford Town Supervisors, for the period July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. The agreement was voted and approved by the union on August 25th, 2025, and was referred prior to tonight's meeting in time to get to Administrative Services, which heard it in committee.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. And see, you all were sick of me until Josh started going. This, again, was heard on September 2nd of this year by Admin Services and approved by a 7-0 vote. This contract was arrived at by collective bargaining. It should be noted that, as with all labor contracts, there'll be some retroactivity since the approval date is retroactive from September 1st of 2026. The essence of this agreement is it's a reassignment between Planning and Zoning and Inland Wetlands Commission. Significant change. In all earnest, I was going to see if the first selectman, who is not here, wanted to opine and give some discussion on this, but he is not here, so I will put that forth in the form of a motion. Again, collectively bargained reorganization or reassignment between Planning and Zoning and Inland Wetland, and some retroactivity to the payment, which is common in these union contracts. So I'll put that forth in the form of a motion, and it was approved, as I think I said that. I'm not sure if I did unanimously.
Unanimously approved.
Okay. Nothing vote.
We have a committee report on approving this contract, which was approved by the union on August 25th. Are there any questions or comments on this matter for the committee? Mr. Toohill.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Just a quick question for Chairman Edelman. So I wanted to know if this contract was a 2.5% increase?
Frank, I would have to
2.7.
I would have to look that up. I don't recall.
Madam Moderator?
Yes, Mr. Aiken.
2.75.
2.75 is the answer to your question. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Should I see another hand down here? No. Okay. Yes.
Yes, Madam Moderator, to the chairman, through you. I have a question, and I'm not sure whether or not you would be able to answer this.
Should have asked him before the meeting.
Consolidation of the Inland Wetlands Commission head into the planning department. And I was wondering if you can discuss in any way the impact that might have on the town's efforts for inland wetlands, to protect inland wetlands and so on?
I personally cannot answer that question. I was going to seek some input, as I said before, from the first selectman. I thought he would be here. He's not, and I apologize, but I'm not able to answer that question.
So one more question.
It's unfortunate. It's a fairly significant change, and that we don't have someone here to be able to explain what that means. It's a comment from me.
Yes, thank you. It's on the record. Yes, thank you. Mr. Toohill.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I also have another question. So, I mean, from what I've been told, now, the contract, I haven't seen it, so I don't know what it says, but I'm asking. So from what have heard, so the old town planner position, Harry Smith, is now, that changed. So what we now have, as far as I know, and if I'm wrong, tell me. Right now we have, instead of a town planner, this director of planning and zoning. And I think that's in the contract, that new position. And under the director of planning and zoning now is the blight officer, which is new, the zoning enforcement officer, which is also new. I mean, those two were basically on their own before, independent. And so now they're under the Director of Planning and Zoning. And then the Inland Wetlands Director also was independent, and so now she's under the Planning and Zoning Director. Is that correct, Chairman Edelman?
It's my understanding, but again, I don't have complete knowledge of that, Frank. I apologize, but I do believe that, as you articulated, that is the hierarchy.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Moderator, through you.
Yes.
Representative Basile, welcome to your first in-person meeting. Through you, Madam Moderator, I think I can provide some clarification on the merger. So typically in unions, we don't like when the supervisor is under the same union that employees are under. It's a long-standing union tradition. It creates a lot of conflicts of interest. If an employee wants to file a grievance regarding their supervisor, it becomes very tenuous within the union. So the department was merged, and the director of this department is now no longer a union position. He is unaffiliated. So it's just to create more streamlining, but then in addition, it's to kind of correct that balance that didn't exist before. So.
Yes.
Thank you for that. But I guess I'm still a little flummoxed, so I won't carry on about this. But so that for purposes of union representation, that's why this reorganization was done.
I think there were a lot of different reasons why this reorganization was done, but I do see that as, for me, it clarifies a lot of it. And it makes it fair for the employees that are reporting to this director.
I would certainly never raise any objection to something like that. Because it seems to make it, as you said, more streamlined and more equitable for those people that are using it. My concern has to do with the prominence of inland and the independence of inland wetlands. I represent a community, and we've had a lot of experience with inland wetlands, and so it is of concern to me that their role has, at least the appearance of their role may be subject to change.
Yes, Representative Everson.
If I could make a suggestion that Admin Services requests that the planning director attend the next committee meeting and perhaps to discuss how the department is planning under admin. I think so. Or no, that's under R&O.
Yeah, it's under R&O, yes.
So it'd be one more thing for R&O on their plate. But I think it's probably important. You're welcome, Peter. It's probably important to have this discussion further in a committee meeting because it is a significant change. But it's also important to point out that the union did approve this. Right. So the union is in agreement with this shift in how the administration of planning and zoning and inland wetlands is going to be merged.
Representative Henschel.
Just point of interest, the department is now called the Department of Planning, Conservation, and Development, the new title. And the title of Mikhail Walkers, who is the town planner, is Director of Planning, Conservation, and Development. So it's all inclusive of wetlands and development.
It's interesting that the name conservation is in that title now, so that's good.
So we do need to find out more
Madam
about that.
It would be nice to have actually seen the proposal. Normally, when you make these kinds of organizational changes, there would be a listing of duties and objectives for that particular office. And then that would give me some comfort to know that environmental concerns continue to be paramount in people.
It certainly sounds good. I am not sure where the reorganization lands. I don't think it comes to the RTM, except through these kinds of contractual approvals. So, I mean, I'm saying I'm not sure, but reorganizations happen once in a while, and I don't believe they're the purview of the RTM.
However, it is, Madam Moderator, possible for you to have a discussion with the Human Resources Director, who, if job titles and positions have changed, there should be some kind of a delineation as to what the role and responsibility, et cetera, is.
Yes.
So that would be a suggestion.
Madam Moderator.
Yes.
If I may, I would also point out, as Representative Majority Leader Everson mentioned, it was collectively bargained, and B, which is important, and B, Ms. Liberto was at the admin services meeting with the contract, which was disseminated at that point and which was posted, and with the admin services agenda that this item would be heard at admin services prior to the RTM.
Okay.
Senator Black has had his hand up.
Sorry.
I'd just like to add, I mean, for as long as I've been on the RTM and, probably longer, it's been mentioned that we have an absurd amount of direct reports to the first selectman, and I think this is one step in reducing the number of direct reports. Maybe future Selectman Brooks will take another direction, but, it's both Republicans and Democrats for at least 20 years have been saying we need to consolidate some of and streamline some of the reporting structure. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a good reminder. Thank you. Okay. I'm not even sure where we are. Okay.
We have a motion.
We have a motion and a second on this? Okay.
Well, no, it's a committee report.
Oh, it's a committee report.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a committee report.
Yep.
Are there any questions, any other questions or comments or concerns for the committee on this contract? Okay, so the vote will be to approve the agreement between the Town of Branford and AFSCME Town Supervisors.
Roll call for the contract?
It's a contract, that's right, yes, thank you. Okay, we have a roll call. Tentative, great. Was not a tentative anymore.
It's not about to be.
Right, okay.
It's a roll call vote?
It's a roll call vote, yes. Mr. Toohill, take it away.
Yeah. Representative Adams.
Pass. Pass for now.
Representative Edelman.
Yes, approve.
Representative Anderson.
Yes.
Representative Black.
Yes.
Representative Basile.
Abstain.
Representative Bonenberger.
Yes.
Representative Brooks.
Yes.
Representative Dayhill.
Yes.
Representative Everson.
Yes.
Representative Representative Henschel.
Yes.
Representative Hines.
Yes.
Representative Ingraham.
Yes. Oh, I'm squeaky too.
Representative Larson.
Yes.
Run out of water.
Representative LaFredo.
Yes.
Representative Maresca.
Yes.
Representative McCormick.
Yes.
Representative Nupani.
Yes.
Representative Papalizio.
Yes.
Representative Shrestha.
Yes.
Representative Sumro, absent. Representative Toohill, yes. Representative Verderam.
Yes.
And then going back to Representative Adams that passed.
Abstain.
Abstain, okay. So there were 2 abstentions, and everyone else present voted yes, Madam Moderator.
Okay, so the vote carries.
Vote carried, yes, ma'am.
Okay, the item carries. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, item 17, to consider and if appropriate, establish a Harbor Management Commission pursuant. No, all right, well, I should have taken that one out, I'm sorry.
You're on the same page.
I thought I did.
You did.
I did.
It's not a legal call.
Okay, all right, sorry. I'm using my old one, okay. Okay, to consider and if appropriate, create an ordinance which will encode reasonable restrictions on short-term rentals in Branford. Mr. Henschel.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This is a rather substantial proposed ordinance, and I would request your indulgence in letting me sit because I have a bit to read in describing it. basics first. R&O met on June 17th to discuss the final approval of this ordinance. The final proposal was reviewed in the meeting. The committee voted unanimously to send to the RTM for possible adoption the proposal, and the ordinance has been reviewed by Attorney Yanukovych without any changes. So I put that in the form of a motion, but first I would like to say a little bit about the ordinance itself, and I will be proposing, after our discussion, an amendment to the text. So first, some on background. I'm going to read the ordinance has as a first part, and you all have this in front of you, the purpose, which I think will sort of sum up where the ordinance was heading, what it was trying to do, and add some clarity to what this is all about. So the purpose, number one, to maintain the tranquility of Branford's residential neighborhoods for all residents, particularly regarding noise, parking, parties, lighting, and other activities that interfere with neighboring residents' quiet enjoyment of their neighborhoods. Number two, to regulate short-term residential rental activity as defined by these regulations to minimize any negative off-site impact of short-term residential rentals on the surrounding neighborhood. Number three, to allow residential homeowners to derive some extra income from their primary residence with the goal of keeping home ownership affordable, while at the same time assuring the continued health, safety, and welfare of neighboring residents, as well as their short-term rental registered guests. Number four, to minimize the vehicular impact of short-term residential rentals by limiting guest parking along public streets. Number five, to avoid a detrimental reduction in Branford's single-family residential stock in residential neighborhoods of the town. Number six, to address the inherent differences between the short-term rental of permanent year-round housing stock and the short-term rental of non-winterized seasonal cottages. Number seven, to ensure that the owners and hosts of short-term residential rental properties have clear understanding of their legal responsibility to oversee and control short-term residential rental occupancies and provide a safe and healthy occupancy. Number eight, finally, to inform residential property owners that short-term residential rental of their property may subject them to current and future state regulations and state and federal business taxes. Just as a matter of background, this ordinance was taken up by the committee, I think, over a year ago, and the committee began last fall with a survey which was publicized through the Sound magazine or newspaper and the town website. That survey had over 500 responses, which is extraordinary for any town survey, which they normally get 40, 50 at the most responses to a survey. But we had 500 responses, and 50 of those responses were from short-term rental homeowners. So we did have representation in the response from actual renters. The overwhelming opinion of both owners and non-owners was that some aspects of short-term rentals should be regulated. Over the past year, the committee's minutes continuously have updated the committee on discussion and the progress in our drafting of this ordinance. And additionally, we had a lot of public attendance at those meetings, and all public attendees who indicated a direct interest in the topic were requested to provide their email address, and we emailed them individual notices of ongoing committee meetings to try to keep the people that were interested as informed as possible. So I think our process has probably been more robust than most ordinances that have been considered by rules and ordinances in the past. A couple of things. What the ordinance does not do, it does not ban short-term rentals. And number two, it does not prohibit or even mention any form of rental marketing, such as Vrbo or Airbnb. A couple of things that the ordinance does do. It requires registration with the town. It establishes basic health and safety standards to protect renters. It limits activities of renters that might disturb the neighborhood, and it establishes a communication path to owners if issues should arise. So those are a few of the things that we tried to build into this ordinance. So I will put that back to you, Madam Moderator, for discussion, and then, as I said, after discussion of the general ordinance, I would like to propose a small amendment.
Okay, so we will, we don't need a motion to open the floor to discussion, so we will open the floor. Any questions arising for the committee on the ordinance as it stands now? Mr. Brooks.
I just want to, I'm going to rise in support of this. I had no preconceived notion before this process started, and I think the R&O committee did a phenomenal job, a phenomenal bipartisan job, and I applaud all of the members, both Democrat and Republican, on this committee for doing a fine job on this ordinance. And I think it's imperative that we as a community be proactive to give the town, but also our neighbors, an avenue of protection. And I think this does that in a fair and equitable way. And I think it's also important to remember that ordinances can be tweaked down the road, so if it's not perfect, and we see that it's not perfect, we can make tweaks to it down the road. But, I mean, I like to say to you guys, this is perfect. But, so, I just rise in support. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Other comments? Yes, Mr. Edelman.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just want to commend Representative Henschel. This was as transparent and open a process, and as any I've seen. I've been a part of writing some ordinances and passing some, getting some legislation brought to a vote with Representative Henschel before. As he said, the community was kept at large. He made extreme efforts, as did the whole committee, to reach out to the public to get input. It was methodical. It was not done with any haste. A lot of input was given and taken, and as a result of that impact, actions and changes were made to drafts. A lot of hard work, and again, most importantly, of anything I've ever seen a committee do in my tenure on the RTM, this was as open and transparent as any process that I've seen. I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. Ingraham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I rise in support also. I got this worked through this while I was on R&O for, I'll say two-thirds. Two-thirds of it, I really want to commend Representative Henschel and how he put this together, but in the middle of this is a very heavy lift, but it was also in the middle of Harbor Commission, another heavy lift, and then suddenly Blight shows up. I mean, so I'd like to thank you, Representative Henschel.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Black.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I'll add that too. And one of the more remarkable things, my memory may be off a bit, but I think of those 50 rental owners that replied, 38 said, yes, we want some sort of regulation. That was maybe the more surprising thing to me, was that, and we tried our best to balance all the interests, and this has been a long process, and this is the culmination of that. So, thank you, Peter, for leading us through that.
Thank you.
Madam Moderator?
Yes, Mr. Henschel.
I would also like to add that the development of the ordinance was put together by a subgroup of rules and ordinances, and Representative Black and Bonenberger were part of that process. So we all worked together to do research, have innumerable Zoom calls to go over details, et cetera. And I thank everybody for the participation in the process.
Oh, thank you, Representative Wilfred.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Two quick questions. Number one, I think it's a really read through this thoroughly, but just first question is, this doesn't limit at all when you can get this permit, right? Like any time of the year, if someone wants to, you know, let's say Lake Charleston's available, they're able to get the permit. Am I correct on that?
Correct. You can register at any point in the year. There is a registration term, dated term, so that if you register in the middle of that process, you would have a shortened, your first registration, annual registration would be short, and then subsequently you'd be year by year. And that's just to make sure that all the registrations turn over at the same point in time to make the bookkeeping on the part of the town easier.
Makes sense. And my second question is, my fiance works for the state, so usually town and state websites are very hard to navigate. How easy is it for someone to find and access this online? Is there going to be like an easy portal to go into on the town website, or is it something like a special email you get when you sign up?
The actual administration of this on the part of the town's administration, the details of that will be up to the town administration. We certainly would promote, you know, a very open and easy access to that information and to the registration process. But and it's going to ultimately come down to the town's administration personnel themselves establishing the details.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
Mr. Bonneberger.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'd also like to rise in support of this, and I just wanted to emphasize it was mentioned by several of the other representatives, Representative Black in particular, that this really was a compromise, and I think this is. I feel like, you know, I read a story about this in the Wall Street Journal a couple days ago. It's all over the news. This is something that affects a lot of different communities, and we did our utmost not to infringe on the liberties or the freedoms or the rights of individual homeowners, at the same time that we were also taking into consideration the neighbors, the people who live next door, and it is a balance. And I think if you look at this ordinance, if you're interested, and compare it to the ordinances in other communities, what you'll find is that this is very much center mass. This is not one of the ordinances that's overly regulatory or restrictive, surprisingly for Connecticut. But it doesn't. It also doesn't do nothing. It's not toothless either. So. I support it. I urge everyone else to support it as well. I think it's something for the town to be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments, questions, wish to rise?
Public?
In the public, or anybody wish to speak on this matter? Come forward, please, here, and then identify your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Branford. I live on 101 Sunset Beach Road. I want to commend the committee. I mean, I was at every one of their meetings. I mean, one of those residents that have been, you know, personally impacted severely by this. And while I probably, you know, would have preferred a much more restrictive ordinance, I understand that, you know, everything, if everybody walks away unhappy, I think, you know, you guys did a good job. Exactly. So I commend you guys for it. I appreciate all the work you put in.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Are there other members of the public who wish to speak to this? Okay. Mr. Henschel, you indicated that you would like to amend some of the language?
Madam Moderator, I'd like to make an amendment specifically to the number 4 definition of short-term residential rentals, and in that it refers to the areas of town that this would apply to using the zoning regulations of the zones. Currently it refers to residential zones R1 through R5 and multifamily zones of the town of Branford. It was brought to my attention by a constituent quite early in the process, and I frankly forgot to address it in our discussions, that there is a zone called BR, the Business Restricted Zone, that is on the zoning map. The purpose of that zone is it's embedded in residential neighborhoods for the purpose of allowing perhaps a convenience store or a small business that supports that neighborhood to exist. And it mostly is in areas where residential buildings have been converted to businesses, and they're very small little sections of otherwise residential zones. I think it's appropriate to add that in as that BR zone into the list of zones, because there might be a situation where you have in a residential zone a little cluster of BR zoned properties. One of them could be a residential building that would be converted back to a residence and then converted into a short-term rental without restriction. So it would be that one particular property in the neighborhood would be treated differently than all the others relative to this. So it made sense to me. As I say, it's a small zone, and I think it cleans up. It's not critical, but it would clean up one potential issue in the future. So
Would you make a motion for that amendment?
We change the wording of located in a residential zone R1 through R5, comma, multifamily MF, to located in zones R1 through R5, comma, multifamily, comma, and BR would be the change in the text.
Okay, have you made a motion? Are you making a motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Are there any questions or concerns about this particular change? Yes, Mr. Black.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Through you, my recollection of business restricted is lodging is allowed. Now, what is that only as a special exception, or what's?
Yes,
that was one of my. We talked about this kind of
bed and breakfasts and forms of special exception lodging are allowed in the BR zone, and this would not take away from that the zoning commission's ability to create or to allow that. It's allowed by special exception, and in this
right, I know we talk about
thing, it says that they, if it's been approved by planning and zoning, then it would be allowed. Those uses would be allowed. This wouldn't trump that requirement. So it doesn't change anything in terms of people that are in that BR zone being allowed to apply to planning and zoning for a bed and breakfast. It wouldn't preclude that. But it would if somebody had a residence and didn't apply to planning and zoning and just wanted to make it into a short-term rental, then they would come under this ordinance.
Through you again, Madam Moderator, just to clarify. The business restricted, there's no as-of-right lodging use.
No, it's a special exception.
Because I haven't read it recently. The lodging use, which is specifically mentioned, is only by special exception.
Yes.
So that would fall with everything else under our 2.4 of this.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so in the order of passage, we have a motion and a second to amend the language. We have taken some questions. Are there any other questions or comments on the amendment of the language in the ordinance to add to the parenthetical phrase there, comma, and BR? Okay, that is what is being proposed, so we will have a vote. All in favor of that amendment in the language of the ordinance?
Madam Moderator?
Yes.
One thing in the text is that the word residential, it says currently in a residential zone, the word residential would have to be deleted, and it would just say in a zone R1, R5, MF, and BR, because BR is not.
How about in zones R1 to R5, MF, and BR? Does that work? Yes. Okay, I'll read that again. So the language would change to located in zones R1 to R5, comma, MF, comma, and BR.
Yes.
Okay, that work?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on that change? Town Clerk Arpin.
Thank you. I just have a question about the caveat of the approval of town council on this amendment. So would your vote be upon approval by the legal counsel? Right.
Mr. Henschel, do you think it needs another review by council?
Are you suggesting that we would have to have it re-reviewed this for the amendment?
It would need to be reviewed, I would imagine, but I would imagine you can vote tonight, but with the caveat that the approval comes also from...
Yeah, certainly. We could vote with the caveat that the town attorney would have to review this amended language and approve it. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
That makes sense?
Representative Ingraham.
For point of information, the town attorney is advisory to us on writing these.
Yeah.
So they're providing us with what they don't approve, is what I'm trying to say.
We don't have to have
the
their
town attorney
approval.
gives us
Right.
what helps us with our wording so that we can.
We have to have the review. We are not required to have their approval, as I understand it. However, it would make sense if we're changing the text of what they've already reviewed to let them have a chance to re-review it from the point of view of the text change. Peter?
Wait, are you...
I'm just through you. If we approve tonight then, and it goes and the town council disapproves, then there's no ordinance. In my, to my recollection of the process is that we're sending it for review, not approval. We approve the ordinances and changes in the town. So we can say that we want to send it to them in case we want to make a change.
But it wouldn't have to come, you're suggesting it wouldn't have to come back to us.
No. That's what I'm suggesting.
Peter? Yeah.
Mr. Black.
Yeah. My recollection, and I'm not looking at the rules, and unfortunately Frank is
I know, it's not with me tonight.
I have a laptop if we need to access the charter.
It's not that long.
The rules require us to get the town attorney review before we vote on it. Now, we could suspend that rule, or I suppose we could ignore it, which is some of the suggestion here. But I think what the spirit is that we make sure that the town attorney doesn't have any objection to our, I know it's a semi-technical change, but it is a change. So that's where we are, ignoring one of our rules.
Wait, hang on. When Mr. Black is finished, Mr. Brooks?
I make a motion that we suspend the rule to approve without town attorney recommendation. And my logic is, when we pass this ordinance, it doesn't go into effect tomorrow. It may not go into effect till, as you would say, I'm first selectman.
Well, actually, about 15 days.
Well, but it won't be enforced until that process is set up. So we have plenty of time, should it be incorrect, as I have stated earlier, that we can make changes to any ordinance we do at any time. So should it not be okay making this language, we could make a change before they start enforcing the rule. So that's why I would say we suspend that rule for legal purposes, have a vote to suspend the rule, and then approve the amendment, approve the ordinance, and then we'll send it to the town attorney if we need to.
Madam Moderator.
Mr. Henschel?
One possibility, or would it be possible to approve the ordinance as currently written without my amendment?
Yes, withdraw your motion.
Then
please
make an amendment that was subject to the town attorney's approval.
Yep, good. That's one way. I think Josh's way is fine too. I mean, you want to get, I'd like to put this to bed.
I do.
Well, wait, he may withdraw the motion, and where are we? Wait a minute.
I put a motion to suspend the rule for the town attorney's approval to approve the amendment and ultimately the ordinance.
It's not his approval, it's review before.
Well, his review, that we suspend the rule that the attorney needs to review the language before we approve the amendment and the ultimate, what do you call it?
Version.
Ultimate ordinance.
Okay.
And that puts it to bed.
Okay, so there is a contention on the floor that the attorney's review is advisory and not, an approval by the attorney is not, approval of this ordinance is not contingent, this is what Representative Ingraham has said, not contingent upon the attorney's review and blessing. Won't say approval, but blessing. So that's one point of view here. We have another point of view that we can suspend the need for that review. Is that right?
He said it's in the rules.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, can we check the book and make sure it's not in the charter?
Madam Moderator, I think we're getting into the weeds here, and we have a fine ordinance as it's been written, and I think there's an opportunity, of course, for R&O to review it once again and make this small change as they're doing right now with the blight ordinance. So in the interest of, this is what is before us, it has been approved by the committee, I think at this moment in time, it doesn't make sense to have any of this.
Madam Moderator, I withdraw my motion, and I will be putting it into the R&O agenda for next Tuesday that we make this amendment.
Okay, so the amendment, Mr. Henschel's amendment to amend the language is withdrawn. So we are back to the original ordinance as drafted right now. We have, I don't even remember, do we have a motion? We have a committee report, right? So, and we've had lots of comments. We have more comments on moving forward with a vote to approve this ordinance.
Point of procedure, Madam Moderator?
Yes.
I believe we do have on the floor before us Representative Brooks's motion.
It was never seconded.
It was never seconded, okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so are we ready for a vote? We need a roll call. Okay. It's an ordinance. All right, are we ready to vote? Okay, and so the vote will be on the short-term residential rental ordinance as written without any amendment. And go.
Representative Adams.
Approve, hardly.
Representative Edelman.
Wholeheartedly approve.
Representative Anderson.
Approve.
Representative Bastille. Representative Black.
Yes.
Representative Bonenberger.
Yes.
Representative Brooks.
Yes.
Representative Dayhill.
Yes.
Representative Everson.
Yes.
Representative Henschel.
Yes.
Representative Hines.
Yes.
Representative Ingraham.
Yep.
Representative Larson.
Yeah. Took mine.
Took yours? Sorry, dude.
Representative Lafredo.
Confused, but yes.
Representative Maresca.
Yes.
We're all confused.
Representative McCormack.
Yes.
Representative Nupani.
Yes.
Representative Papalizio.
Yes.
Representative Shrestha.
Yes.
Representative Toohill votes yes. Representative,
Verduran.
thank you. Representative Verduran.
Yes.
Now who's lost?
It carried.
It carries. Okay, the ordinance has passed the RTM. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. And Mr. Henschel, although I'm not supposed to speak, I want to extend my congratulations on a yeoman's job. Terrific, wonderful. Thank you very much. Item 18, to consider and if appropriate, recommend amending the town blight ordinance, Chapter 124, blight prevention, based on recommendations from the, based on recommendations from the Town of Branford's Blight Enforcement Officer. Mr. Henschel.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. First of all, I would like to request, in the published meeting agenda, the draft ordinance that we are considering was included as an attachment to tonight's agenda by mistake. It should not have been in there because it's still under consideration. It's not the final version of the ordinance that would be proposed to the RTM. And the R&O met yesterday in a special meeting to discuss this ordinance. There was a nice amount of community participation, a lot of discussion, and as a result of the discussion, the Rules and Ordinance Committee voted 6-1 with one abstention to re-refer this to our meeting this coming Tuesday for hopefully final review and approval. In the agenda for that meeting, the more finalized draft will be published. But I would request that in the minutes of tonight's meeting, that not be included, the draft that was included not be part of the minutes.
Thank you, sir.
So
and I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a committee report to re-refer item 18 to Rules and Ordinances. Any questions or discussion on this? All in favor of re-referring item 18 to Rules and Ordinances, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item is re-referred. Very good. Okay. Any other business to come before the RTM? Yes, Representative Everson. And I have something too.
I would just encourage everyone to attend the Blackstone Library's book sale that's coming up soon. So we support our library that we all love.
Yes.
When? It's coming up next weekend.
It's usually, yes, it's the next week.
The 18th, 19th, 20th, I believe it
and
is.
21st, yes. Okay. And on the same weekend, I would like to promote, and it's going on during the book sale, an all-day event on September 20th called Sunshines on Branford. And there are events, it's sunday.earth. There's a website. You may have seen these. There's a Facebook page, Sunshines on Branford. There's a website. But it's all about solar energy and other kinds of ecologically minded and conservation-minded energy things. There's activities, games. There's going to be entertainment. It's an all-day affair. It's backed by the Cosgrove administration. So I encourage you to look it up. I have a flyer here, but and if you're going to go to the book sale on Saturday, you might check this out as well. Okay, very good. All volunteers from the community put this together. So. Okay. Any other, yes?
Madam Moderator, just a reminder to everyone that the town of Branford will observe 9/11 tomorrow on the Branford Green beginning at 8:30 with the annual remembrance ceremony.
There are flyers on your desks, and they were sent out by the administration also. So, okay. Anybody else?
I have one more.
Yes,
it's a busy week next week. Next Friday, the 19th, on the Green, 5 p.m. The VFW American Legion will be having a ceremony honoring POWMIA for POWMIA Day.
Okay.
So there'll be a gathering on the Green, hearing a little bit of music afterwards.
Yes.
And the library.
And the library. A lot happening next weekend. Yes. Okay. By the way, I misspoke. The website for this is sunshinesonbranford.org.
What's the date? Excuse me.
Yes, Mr. Tuhan.
Thank you. What's the date again, Representative Graham?
September 19th, Friday, 5 p.m.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
All right. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Aye. Motion.
Second?
I think everyone's on there.
Yep. All in favor, aye.
All in favor, aye. Go forth and multiply. Good job. You got a lot.
Yeah, yes.
To the support of the town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.